We earn money, save money and buy things. Living beyond the economic cycle is impossible. What trends are dictated by world markets and how does it affect consumers? Watch it in People and Economy.
Soon, the first bell will ring in all schools of Kazakhstan. More than 2 million young people will sit at the desk. And while children are enjoying the last days of their holidays, their parents are calculating school expenses. This year, they are expected to be quite high. School uniform and footwear make up the basic expenses. Parents in Kazakhstan spend on the average 80 to 100,000 tenge on one child. Everything depends on the quality of school uniform because it accounts for the largest part of expenses. There are also school supplies, stationery and school bags. For example, a good school bag which helps to maintain good posture and does not weigh heavily on a child's shoulders costs about 14,000 tenge and more. Parents of first graders have a particularly difficult task because besides a standard school books and stationery, they need to prepare their children for school and teach them to read and count. Therefore, many of them send their children to special centers long before the beginning of studies. Children should be capable of reading or at least spelling words. Along with that, they should understand what they read. Reading should be comprehensive. After reading, a teacher should ask a child questions about the text. If a child answers well, it means that he understood the content. If he doesn't, it means that he cannot understand what he reads. As for mathematics, a child should be capable of counting at least from 1 to 10. He should be capable of solving logical problems and logical chains. These are basic tasks necessary for school. How to prepare for school within a year or within 3 or even 2 months? Children's centers suggest different programs which can teach a child to read, write and count. In Kazakhstan, the average price of classes in children's preparation centers varies between 8.5 and 30,000 tenge. As a rule, this sum includes reading, grammar, mathematics and writing. Classes last from 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 5 times a week. Besides children's centers, parents also hire tutors. Here the main advantage is they have an individual attention and do utmost to teach a child. In addition, a tutor can visit children at home. The cost of one lesson averages between 1.5 thousand and 5,000 tenge. What is the advantage of hiring a tutor? In what period he can prepare a child for school? There are cases when a child does not go to a nursery school and is taught by a tutor. The advantages are that if the child does not understand something, the tutor explains it to him at once. Then they analyze everything and do the task again. The disadvantages are that a child is a little bored, so there should be at least 2 children. For them it will be more interesting to work together and there will always be some spirit of competition. And while a future pupil is grinding away at his studies, his parents are making a list of all necessary things. First graders, it will need a complete set consisting of school uniform, school bag, footwear and pencil box, copybooks, a drawing book, pens, erasers and many more. The total costs for a first grader make up 8 to 10,000 tenge, inclusive of the cost of an orthopedic school bag. The costs for second graders make up 3 to 4,000 tenge. Meanwhile, senior pupils will need special accessories, such as drawing paper, drawing pencils and specific copy books. The average price of all that will be 5 to 6,000 tenge. This year, the requirements for compulsory school uniform have been adopted in Kazakhstan. It should have a classical style and single color scale. Bright colors are completely excluded. There should be daily, sports and full dress uniforms. The price of one outfit varies between 10, 20 and 1,000 tenge. The older is the child, the more expensive will be the uniform. The price of a school uniform depends on fabrics it is made of, as well as on the size and model type. School outfits for girls are a little bit more expensive because they include a skirt and sundress. Nonetheless, despite the fact that parents spend considerable amounts of money in order to dress their children for school, a school uniform is anyway cheaper than daily clothes, experts say. So one of its advantages is economic benefit. Along with that, school uniform is associated with educational and social aspects. Specialists believe that wearing a uniform develops in a child a sense of a business style. His behavior becomes discreet and he chooses friends looking at their clothing. A school uniform sets a child's mind for a working atmosphere. It eliminates some social disparities and the possibility of choosing friends only according to clothes. It also instills the sense of style typical for adult people and business society. Expenses of European parents also increase at the beginning of the academic year. For instance, an average Italian family spends only on stationery, school bags and supplementary books more than 500 euros. Parents of first graders spend 400 euros more because along with this, they also need to buy textbooks, dictionaries and many other things. Books in Germany are considered the main object of expenditures. Parents have to buy all the school books themselves. All that costs almost 60 euros. Most of the Germans do not save even on school bags and buy goods of very high quality. Along with that, they usually purchase bags for indoor shoes and gym clothes at a total price of 100 euros. Another 70 euros are spent on stationery. Schools inform parents in writing about the price of textbooks. Usually it reaches 60 euros. There are also optional books which they may not buy. Parents are allowed to buy the same textbooks at a lower price if they find them in some other place. A school bag costs 100 euros. Children in Germany do not have to worry about their uniforms. A lot of schools in the country do not require a strict dress code. In Germany, the issue of the introduction of mandatory school uniforms is currently under discussion. School children, in turn, can participate in the development of their design. A school uniform is clothes worn by pupils most of time, so it should be comfortable and preserve a clean look after washing. It should not restrict children's movements. It should also answer all sanitary and hygienic norms. Since recently, supplementary classes with a tutor have become very popular in Europe. At the time of school preparation and ahead of final exams, parents spare no expense and send their children for various classes. For instance, in France, expenditures for tutors exceed 2 billion euros annually, in Germany 1.5 billion and in Italy 450 million. On the average, in the EU countries, the cost of one lesson varies between 10 and 20 euros. In China, about 80% of parents hire tutors for their children and do it not only during the preparation for school, but on a regular basis. On the whole, the cost for supplementary studies, school supplies and a computer sometimes reach 40% of a family budget. Education in China is considered the largest area of spending. In China, in order to study at school, you need to sit for entrance examinations. They are difficult enough and many children fail when they take such exams for the first time. These exams require a serious preparation. However, it is very difficult to find a good tutor who would teach a child and help him to enter a school. In South Korea, parents spend on tutors and studies in educational centers about $400 per month. Children are prepared for school from the age of 3 years. They are taught drawing, music and counting. At the same time, many parents manage to cut their costs on such studies by hiring retired tutors or those who have no permanent job. Nowadays, 9 of 10 children in South Korea visit tutors or educational centers because local schools regularly publish academic results which are very important for entering a higher educational institution. Parents in Japan spend spend on school uniform about $700 annually. Another $1,000 are spent on out-of-school education, including tutors, study groups and circles. The older is the child, the heavier are the expenses. Indeed, wearing a uniform at primary school is not mandatory. Each educational institution chooses its own clothing style. American pupils decide themselves what clothes to wear at school because the majority of domestic educational institutions have no uniform as such. However, there are some limitations. The majority of school children prefer jeans, trousers and t-shirts with various drawings. Numerous surveys among teachers show that the majority of them advocate for the introduction of single uniform. They think that this measure will improve discipline. Children's parents, on the contrary, consider the absence of uniform a good way of saving the family budget. Parents' expenses are divided into two parts. The first is the cost of school uniform and the second is daily clothes. When you have got such school uniform and ordinary clothing, you will have spare cash, so you can spend it on shoes for the suit or on indoor shoes. Parents should not regard this as a burden because it is related to education of their children. In late August, shopping centers in the US are full of parents and children. In this period of time, customers sweep away everything from erasers to school bags. According to the National Retail Federation, an average American family spends $700 to prepare a child for school. A major part of this money is spent on clothing and footwear. On these days, retailers invent many ways to retain customers and offer $5 gift cards for those whose purchases exceed $25. Schooling all over the world is changing rapidly. New technologies and innovative methods of teaching, widely used in nowadays, force parents to spend even more money on the preparation of their children for school. For instance, many educational institutions abolished paper daybooks and replaced them by electronic ones. In such a manner, parents can come online at any moment and look the timetable and marks of their child. A British company has developed a school uniform with a GPS chip which transmits online the information about child's location. There are several more innovative projects presented in different parts of the world which can profoundly transform education. Thus, for example, if a child fell ill and cannot come to school, a robot will come instead of him and transmit all the information online to the pupil. Another innovation is a 3D printer for children which can easily print all necessary models, for example, for labor training. One more example is an innovative pen which transforms a handwriting test into printed letters. We can cut our costs while preparing our child for school. First of all, we can go to a school fair which is usually opened in late summer. In addition, many supermarkets offer discounts on stationery not long before September. It is also recommended to buy stationery without attractive boxes and packages which often cost a lot of money. Along with that, experts recommend to buy school uniform in online stores, but do it in good time, bearing in mind the date of delivery. 2 or 3 families can form a group and buy things, pens, copybooks and stationery by wholesale in some warehouses. In that case, you can save 10 to 15%. And one more advice is not to buy these things in high season. Another way to cut costs is to avoid buying things which do not correspond to your child's age. For instance, a first grader will not need a calculator or mathematical compass. Buying stationery by wholesale in online shops is more cost-saving. And the most important thing is to make a list of things you really want to buy in order not to spend extra money. In our days, the traditional education gives way to innovations. Thus, a study center in California prepares children not only for school, but also to global changes. They are taught creative thinking and construction of playhouses by means of 3D modeling. The pupils begin their day from looking through the timetable in a special iPad application. The center teaches children from 4 to 14 years old. The tuition fee is $20,000 per year. Schools of the same time are expected to open in other US cities.